Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us.
Hello and welcome to Tuesday Night On Deck All-Star Edition. So, Greg didn't like that, so he decided he's going to leave. Okay, well, fine, whatever. So, yes, it is All-Star Night. I am joined by my man, Crispy Bacon. How you doing, bud?
Doing good. Just getting ready for the All-Star game. They're doing the national anthem right now, but
Okay.
soon it'll get started.
All right, and then we're joined again a couple weeks away. Looks like he was having some fun. Coach D, what's up?
Yeah, I'm back from the beach. I hit two beaches, the Gulf Coast, the Emerald Coast, and the Atlantic Ocean. So it's only the middle of summer, so I need to go out to the West Coast to hit the trifecta.
Okay.
I don't know if I can because I don't have any money left. But it was a good couple weeks away. Visited family, had a good time, ate a lot of seafood.
All right, cool. And back by popular demand, the big dog, Mr. G. Greg, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing good. Ready for the All-Star game. So we'll start off with our teams quick. Greg, we'll start with your Cardinals. How did they look the first half, and kind of what do you expect in the second half?
Well, I'm a little bit nervous for the second half, even though we're getting some pretty good pitching performances. Right now we're kind of lagging a little bit, not too much, but we're not, tops in our division, and it's kind of going to be a tight race for that last wild card spot. So I think so far we're doing pretty good, considering that we're under new management and everything. But I think that it's just that's one thing that makes me nervous, is not winning the division outright. And then it's pretty decent league this year in the National League. So I'm fearful that we might just miss out on it by a couple of games if we're not careful on the final playoff spot, wild card spot.
All right. And then we'll jump over to National League quick or stay in the National League, I should say. Talk to Mr. Met over there. Coach D, are you worried so far? I mean,
no, I'm not worried. The Mets are playing good. They're winning series. They're about to get DeGrom back. Their pitching has been good. Scherzer came back, and he's doing what Mad Max does. The Mets' young pitchers, there has been a burp here and there, but overall, the young pitching has really held up. The Braves have gained on us because the Braves are out of their minds hot. They can't possibly keep this up. They're playing like 850 ball. That's impossible. So they gained ground. The Mets took 2 out of 3 from the Braves. Braves are 2.5 back. Mets took 3 out of 4 from the Cubs. I'm comfortable. I'd like a pennant race. I'd rather a pennant race than cruise into September with a 10-game lead. I feel like a team, when you go into playoffs, if you're playing playoff baseball for a month and a half, it's better. The Mets' regular lineup is pretty good. The only issues is their catchers aren't hitting and their DH isn't hitting. So everybody else is doing pretty well. Alonso and Lindor are on pace for way over 100 RBIs, 30-plus home runs for Lindor. Alonso, 45 home runs. He's been steady Eddie. He's in the MVP talk. Goldie needs to strike out a few times there, Greggy.
Yeah.
All right.
Get the boy out.
Let's move quick to the American League. And
okay,
Chris, how about your Rangers?
Well, the last 4 games it wasn't too well. We got swept by Seattle.
Seattle's on fire right
at,
now.
at home. Yeah, they're like, what, 18, 17 game winning streak?
think
14,
it's
I
14.
believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it felt like more.
I
But
bet you it did.
hopefully we can get back on track after the All-Star break, and two to three All-Star or Rangers are in the All-Star game tonight, so just hope nothing happens there.
Okay, yep. My Twins are hanging barely on the first place. I don't know how they're doing it, but because the pitching's hit or miss, and so is the hitting hit or miss. I mean, but they got two All Stars today, Buxton and Arise, which I agree with both, and I would have been fine with one of them being in. So Buxton gets to start today for Trout. So let's go. Speaking of the All Star game, festivities started yesterday with the Monster Home Run Derby. Somebody was going for a three-peat. Dirk, sorry to hear, but your guy did not get the three-peat.
Nope. It's hard to do.
Oh, yeah. Pujols was in it. I was glad to see him in it.
It's kind of cool.
The winner was Juan Soto, which we'll talk about in a little bit too on his situation. But what do you guys think of the All Star game? The new ruling that if it's tied after 9, they're going to have another mini home run derby. Dirk, we'll start with you. Overall, what do you think of the home run contest and the All Star game itself?
For the All Star game, yeah, that's fine. It's my thing. Hopefully, everybody gets to play, and managers try to get everybody in. So and they usually do. It's very rare when a guy doesn't even get in, like a pitcher, just to pitch to one batter. It's that feeling when you go out there, and that's kind of cool for the All-Star game. Have a little home run derby after, kind of like a penalty shot in hockey or soccer. That's kind of cool. Please don't even think about making it a regular thing. Please. I already hate the Ghost Runner. Don't make it a regular thing for the All-Star game, but not for regular games.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Gotcha. Yeah, the All-Stars. Yeah, do it. That'd be cool. And I'm good with that.
Okay. Greg, how about you? What do you think of the whole All-Stars festivities and the new ruling?
Oh, I love the All-Star festivities. It's a good time. The All-Star game has a little bit different feel to it. It's the midway point. You see a lot of fathers and sons, fathers and kids. Players always have a chance to go out and take some pictures and spend a lot of time, which they don't normally get to do, during a regular season game. So it's really fun to just see the kids with their parents, their dads out there, along the dugout, kind of taking it all in and everything, and it's really nice. I think that's pretty much a lot of boys' dreams is to not only be a professional athlete but make it to All-Star level. So I think it's pretty good to see. And man, we had a really good show with the home run derby, and so I'm kind of excited. I kind of want to see a tie game, after 9 and have a mini home run contest, because I think that this is one of the better ideas that good old Rob Manfred and the powers that be over there have came up with. They've been talking robot umps and all this weird stuff and ghost runners and trying to change the game and put in a pitching clock and all this stuff and everything, and really making some weird changes or proposals. So I kind of like this one.
Yeah, great. Chris, how about you? What do you like about the All-Star game and festivities and all that?
No, I like the All-Star weekend. I mean, all the stuff they get to do, they make it into a week or sometimes even more than a week. Sometimes I put the celebrities in there and they get to do a little baseball or softball kind of thing.
Yep. They have that Saturday, I think.
Yeah, it's more interactive than like the NFL Pro Bowl or something like that. But as far as the home run derby to end a tie, sure, why not for an All-Star game? But I wouldn't want to see it in an actual game, not right now. but we're kind of used to in any sport. Once they try it in a preseason game or an all-star game, they'll likely put it in a regular season game.
Yeah, no, I'm with Greg or Coach D, and I think Greg might have. Yeah, I don't want to see it in a regular season game. I'm not a fan of the Ghost Runner, but I'm kind of getting used to it. For me, yeah, the All Star festivities, the celebrity softball game, the futures game, the home run derby, all leading up to the All Star game,
In the
all
draft,
great fun to
yeah,
watch.
they do the draft in there in between, but
Yeah, yeah, we could touch on the draft and what we think of it, but ending the All Star game in a tie and then doing a home run contest, I think is phenomenal. I don't think the team should have to pick their guys. I think it should just be the next three batters up. I think, but it is what it is, and I'm kind of with Greg. I think it'd be kind of nice to see a tie game today, but then they'll say that it was fixed so we can see the home run derby. But so Chris brought it up. To me, the MLB draft is kind of I'm not going to say pointless. I know that's not the right word, but I think it's irrelevant to make it a showcase like they do because you don't see these guys for at least 4 years. Some, yes, earlier than others, but Greg, what do you think of the MLB draft?
The big draft is always the NFL draft. That's the one with the most speculation. People have so many draft boards, 5, 6, 7, 8 draft boards. By the time it's all said and done in the NFL, it's became this huge deal. The NBA draft is still somewhat has a little bit of flair and appeal. The Major League Baseball and hockey seems to be a little bit more under the radar in comparison to football and basketball. I get what you're saying about some guys aren't going to make it until they work their way up through the minors and stuff. But I think it is kind of good to kind of make a little bit of a deal about it, because it's an important thing to get drafted and get up on the stage and shake hands and potentially sign a contract and work your way up. So, there have been some guys definitely that have gotten drafted and have made it to the big leagues in like 6 months or, in less than a year. And then there's, I think that just like the Major League draft, though, it's kind of a crapshoot sometimes because you could have, I'm looking at the Astros. They passed on Mike Trout, in the draft. And, they selected some guy that never even made the team after 5 seasons. So it's just kind of interesting. So, I don't know. I think it's kind of a good thing to make a little bit of a deal about it. I mean, I don't think they should make a big deal about it, for an entire weekend or anything, because Major League Baseball has more rounds in it than any other sport for the draft. But I think it's kind of nice for the first couple rounds to see what teams might be looking at down the road for future talent.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it is important to those players. Don't get me wrong. I mean, because you play the sport and hope to get your name called. I mean, that part means a lot. Don't get me wrong. So.
But I do see your point, BB, in that for the fans watching it or following it, you're not going to see the names join like the Rangers or the or Minnesota.
Yeah.
They're going to go to the minor leagues. They're going to join their affiliates and, work their way up.
Well, I tell you, Chris, I mean, you guys got 2 good prospects coming up. The Vanderbilt pitchers that they took last year and this year. Mm-hmm. So you might have some good pitching down the road. Coach D, what do you think of the MLB draft?
Yeah, and I agree with Greg. The NFL in basketball, it's a different draft because when you draft that guy, he's on your team. They don't have minor leagues. Yeah, NBA, he's got the D League. But those guys are generally going to be on your team. Baseball and hockey are different. There's development program. And what the Rangers are going through right now, yes, they signed Kumar, okay, or they drafted Kumar Rocker, who was the Mets pick last year, and the Mets did not sign him because of medical concerns. Fine. And everybody was shocked when the Rangers drafted him third,
Yep.
but he's got huge upside, and they're drafting for pitching. Okay. Now the thing is, in baseball, there's a slot.
Yep.
Bear with me because it's confusing and I'm not sure I understand it. So
Yeah,
your
I'm
first
confused.
round pick has a financial slot.
Yep.
Okay. Now they were able to get Kumar for 5.9. I think he's going to sign, but remember his agent is Scott the Antichrist baseball idiot Boris.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I've already said that he said he's going to sign with the Rangers. So.
Yes, and so they saw he had a $7.5 million slot. He's going to sign for 5.5.
Yep.
Okay, now they can take that money and use that extra money on a lower draft pick. And this is what the Rangers have done. Okay, they picked Brock Porter. Okay, now he has kind of indicated he's going to go to Clemson. And this is the problem with all the Major League Baseball teams. You draft a guy, you hope he signs with you, but sometimes they go to college. Okay,
Yep.
and then you lose the guy. Now, next year, you'll get a draft pick compensation. That's what the Mets did with Kumar. And instead of the 10th pick, they got the 11th pick. You drop down one pick. What I believe happens. Okay, so not all bad. Now Brock Porter, high school pitcher, he had like a .26 ERA. I think he gave up 9 hits all year. But he's indicated. But the Rangers, listening to them today, listen to Chris Young, the GM, they're pretty confident they can get him. Now, if they can get him and sign him, they can use it for a little more leverage. He was, I think. Chris, was he a 4th round pick?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah,
That
he
sounds
wasn't.
about right.
He was a projected 1st round pick, but he fell because he has given indications he wants to play for Clemson.
Yeah.
See, this is what baseball goes through, right, Greg?
Yeah.
And so it's very, like I agree with you. Probably the first 2 or 3 or 4 rounds, it's interesting to see who they get. And then you're not going to see 95% of them for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years. Okay. But there's a lot of weird things that goes on with the draft. So now if they can get this Porter guy to sign with them, fine. That's good for them. And he'll pop with them. Kumar Rocker, the indications are he's going to play a little bit in the minors. There's no reason to bring him to the majors because the Rangers aren't in a pennant race. They're very close to 500. If they get hot, they could get a wild card. But I think they're just going to let him pitch in the minors, probably AA. That's usually where you stash your hot prospects. And then maybe bring him up in November for a look, and then he's part of your rotation for the next year, and with the money and everything. So it's really weird. The Mets picked 2 prospects. They got 2 picks in the 1st round. So they picked the catcher and a shortstop. The catcher, everybody says, because he played college ball, he's almost ready. Now the Mets have a catcher in their minor leagues. He just got moved up to AAA, Francisco Alvarez. He's 20. He tore up AA, 18 home runs, 275, 50 RBI. So about 3 weeks ago, he went up to AAA. He struggled a little bit. A lot of Mets fans are clamoring for him to come up. I'm on the cautious side. He's 20. But this is part of the thing. The Mets got a high prospect catcher already. Why did they draft another one in the 1st round? Because you don't know. It's better to have too much than too little, And so that's the thing. It's a weird thing with the money and the way they draft, and if when you're looking at a high school player, is he going to go to college? When you're looking at a college player, more than likely, if you draft him right, you get the right money slot, he's going to forego the rest of college and then make the big money, because their first few rounds they get literally millions. It's getting more and more and more. But I know it's confusing, and I don't understand it 100%. But I do listen to the ticket out here, and they try to explain it really good and things. So,
and I think if they get drafted, they decide to go to college, then they're out. They're out the next draft. I don't think they can go back-to-back drafts. I think they.
I don't know. They were actually talking about that today, and they weren't sure if you get drafted. Like,
well, that's true because Rocker got drafted back-to-back. So.
But was it Rocker?
Rocker chose to go a different route because he did get a minor surgery on his shoulder, and he went to an independent league where he tore it up, which he should. Independent, that's like A-ball, and he should tear it up. And the Rangers are happy with his medical reports. I think he's going to be fine. The Mets just at that point last year, having to give him $8 or $9 million, didn't want to take the chance. Maybe it's good luck for the Rangers, because he'll probably go right to Frisco and play with his ex-teammate, his old team buddy, Jack Leiter, who's been up and down, but it's been more good than bad.
All right. So let's move on. Yeah. All right. So let's move on to our first half awards. Dirk kind of brought this up. So start off with our biggest surprise team. Let's start off with that. Dirk, I'll start with you. Your biggest surprise team.
Good
or bad?
Yeah. I'd say Milwaukee being good, and them and the Cardinals fighting it out. I think the Cardinals are right where they should be. They're a good team, and Milwaukee, they didn't have a good year last year, but they're making a bounce back. And the stupid Phillies since they fired Girardi, all of a sudden they're playing good without Bryce Harper. So they're like 8 or 9 games back. I'm not going to worry about them. If I worry, I'm going to worry about the Braves, but I'd rather look what we're going to do ahead. The Giants are a little disappointing to me, but they still have a lot of time. Dodgers are where they're supposed to be. A team in the American League that it's just baffling, and I feel bad for Mike Trout. The Angels are horrible. Yeah. My God, get the boy a team. And they're everybody's all excited about Ohtani, but the Angel, why? Mike Trout, he's got that big contract, and he's a team guy. He's gonna say the right things, and he's balling out, and everything. But him and Ohtani can't do it, and I'm gonna feel bad if he plays his whole career for a sub 500 team. That's awful. That's kind of Andre Dawson like, the best player in the league, and they never win. Poor guy. I feel bad. I really feel bad for him.
All right. Okay. Greg, what about you? What's your surprise team?
Well, to hit a little bit more on the Angels, it is very surprising that they are so bad because they got 2 of the best players in baseball in their lineup. Then they got Rodon, over at third base. They got some bats, but for some reason they just don't click. But the surprise team probably for me would be I want to get this right, the Guardians of the Galaxy. I really looking at this team, I saw some decent pitching and everything, and pitching goes a long ways, but when I look at this lineup up and down, I don't really see that great of a lineup, but for some reason they put a pretty good season together so far, and they've been very
Yep.
competitive.
They
And
all contribute.
what's that?
They all contribute. It's a team.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
They're
they play a
playing
great
team ball.
team game. On paper they don't look like they do much, but for some reason they're putting things together. So that's kind of my surprise team as far as how good they're doing.
Okay.
I'm not really surprised with how bad the A's are because they pretty much sold the farm. I really don't know why they decided to sell almost every good player, and not make any moves whatsoever in the off season. So their record isn't surprising. What surprises me is they got rid of everybody.
Yeah.
So I honestly can't believe how bad the Tigers have been, considering that they've invested a lot in free agency and everything. But who they got this year and in years past just hasn't panned out this year. So it's just been a pretty dismal season over there in Detroit.
All right, Chris, how about you?
Yeah.
Surprise teams.
I want to go with a few. I want to go with kind of in categories. One, the amount of managers we've seen get fired or let go. And then also, you have like the Yankees and even the Mariners onto, red hot winning streaks this season.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, for me, the way the Yankees are just blowing everybody away right now is ridiculous. Twins are surprising me. I figured they'd be in the middle of the pack, maybe fighting. I mean, they're still fighting for a playoff spot, but I would not expect them to be leading. And I'm kind of interested and kind of disappointed in the Rangers. I thought the Rangers were going to put up more of a battle here with the guys they signed, but it seems like outside of the Dodgers, teams that spent a lot of money this year aren't really doing that hot. So, so who's your guys' MVP right now in the American and National League? Greg, I'll start with you.
Right now, I think that the MVP is still has to be Aaron Judge. He's just putting together a great season. He's going to definitely lock in a massive long-term contract probably in the off season. So he's just putting up great numbers. I think he'll be pushing for 60 home runs or so, maybe when it's all said and done. Probably in the low 50s if he can stay healthy. But I mean, shoot, anything's possible. Right now the way that he's hitting and the protection he has in the lineup. So I'd like to throw Ohtani in the mix too, but I think right now it's I think the Judge is just too far ahead.
Okay.
In the National League, I don't know. I think that Manny Machado's putting together a really good season. I could see him maybe getting some consideration and getting some love for MVP. So, and I'd love to see Pete Alonso or my boy Paul Goldschmidt. Get a look. They're both tearing it up too and hitting the height off the ball. So, yeah, I'd love for those guys to get a look. But right now, I think it's probably Machado or Goldschmidt.
All right, Chris, how about you? MVPs.
Yeah, I have to agree with Alonso and Goldschmidt, probably.
All right. Coach D?
Yeah, much as I hate to say it, probably Aaron Judge because his team is in first place. As I previously discussed, Ohtani's having an amazing year, and so is Mike Trout, but their team isn't in first place. The first place guy will always get a little bit of the edge. So it'll be between them three. There may be a couple other guys that come up. Rafael Devers on Boston. If Boston can get another hot streak going and push the Yankees, they caught up kind of to them. They got hot, and now they need to keep going. National League, it's Goldie, Pete, and maybe who's come out of, well, he hasn't come out of nowhere, but Austin Riley on the Braves.
Okay.
He's solid. He's hitting home runs. You know, everybody looks at the Braves and they think Okuna. He's doing fairly well, you know, but he's not on a 40 home run pace and not hitting 300. Austin Riley's on a 45 home run pace, 120 RBIs, you know, good batting average, you know, playing third base, you know, so he's in there. So between him and Polar Bear and Goldie, those are kind of my thing. Machado, he was real hot early, but he went from 350 down to 300. So something's going on with him. You know, he dropped a lot of points. Maybe he's trying to hit too many home runs or something. I don't know. So that's my thing. You know, August is where the MVPs usually are made.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yep.
you know, whoever gets hot in August, whoever team leaps ahead, you know, or comes out of the doldrums or whatever, it'll be August. And then, of course, you know, there looks to be a few pennant races going to go on. So, you know, that'll have a lot to do with it. So we're halfway through the official halfway point. We're slightly past, we're around 90 games instead of 82, but still, you know, that's my deal.
Yeah. No, that's all good. Great points. Judd by far is the leading candidate right now, unless he goes in a slump or gets injured. I think the award's his to lose. Otani's right behind him. In the National League, I think you guys named all three guys. Goldie's probably the leader, Alonso, and then Machado right behind there. So,
Yeah.
Coach D, how about your Cy Young right now? Who do you got there?
Oh my gosh, the pitchers. Half of these guys I never heard of. You know, the guy from Florida, Alcanarte, he's like pitched 7-inning games, like 15 in a row or some ridiculous thing. He handcuffed the Mets. He handcuffed the Braves. He's looking good. Kershaw's in there. It's just there's a new crew of guys that we're not familiar with. You know, let me see here, pitching stuff and Gonsolin. He's on the Giants, right? Oh, is he on the Dodgers?
Let me look here. I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's on the Dodgers. Okay.
Yeah, yep.
Oh,
yeah, he's 11-0.
And Mr. Fountain of Youth, Justin Verlander, is just sick.
Yeah.
Somehow he's 28 again. He is sick right now. In the American League, he's the MVP. He could be MVP, but he's Cy Young in the American League. In the National League, you know, Gonsolin, you know, Alcantara, I got his name finally. 1.76 ERA for Miami. That guy's good. Kershaw's in that conversation too. So that's got to be good. It's kind of good. You know, these new names are going to be familiar in 2 years. This is the new Verlander. This is the new Kershaw. These are the new guys. This new crop that comes up. You know, and so it'll be interesting. It's always neat to see new guys. Maybe a reliever, Hader on Milwaukee. You can't hit him. Yeah. He's unhittable, you know. So he could throw his hat in there. You know, he's gonna get 50 saves. It's hard for a reliever to do it, but they got to be lights out. You know, if he keeps like a 1.0 ERA and a 0.9 WHIP, you know, he could do it. Okay.
All right. Greg, how about you, bud?
For the National League, I think that Coach D hit it right on the head with Alcantara over there in Miami. I mean, the guy's just throwing heat. He's young. He's hitting the high 90s with almost every pitch. I think he can even hit in the low hundreds at times. But the guy's got electric stuff. He's a big reason why, they actually, in the shortened season, propelled them to a playoff spot. So, definitely some good young live arms within the Marlins organization. I think that it would either in the National League come down to him or Corbin Burns right now.
Ooh.
Coach D was wondering why Milwaukee's good. It's because they have fantastic pitching. You got Corbin Burns, you got Woodruff, and you got Hader in there. So you got two outstanding 1-2 punches, in your pitching staff. Then you got the best closer in all of baseball right now, which is helping them out. I'd love to see Verlander get another Cy Young. That'd be great, considering that he missed all of last season coming off of surgery and everything. So his arm looks like it's in perfect health right now. I think Garrett Cole is another strong candidate for AL Cy Young, just because he does get a fair amount of strikeouts, and he does still have some pretty good stuff. But I think that he's picking up a lot of wins right now because that lineup from the top down is just pounding the ball and putting up a lot of runs. So it's hard to lose games right now when you got a lineup putting up at least 6 runs a night. So, so I think that maybe Cole and Verlander over there in the American League, and Alcantara and Corbin Burns over there in the National League.
All right, Chris, how about you? Your Cy Young winners.
I'm not sure for the NL, but I know maybe Kershaw for the AL.
You mean Kershaw for the NL?
Yeah, and I'm not sure.
Not sure for the AL. Okay.
Yeah.
Chris just traded him to the Rangers. So
there you go. And the NL is up 2-0.
All right, NL's up 2-0. For me, I mean, Goldschlager for the Dodgers for sure is up there. I do like that kid in Florida. You guys
did
named.
you call? I'm sorry. Did you call him Goldschlager?
Something like that. Yeah,
Wisconsin. I'm sorry. I couldn't
okay, thank you.
We'll call him
Goldschlager
from now on in
yeah,
honor of
Goldschlager. Yeah.
Yeah, we all like
the
Goldschlager.
Kid in Miami. Yeah, the kid in Miami. I mean, 19 starts, 15 quality starts. I mean, that's definitely up there. Verlander is definitely for the American League. It's going to be a tight race coming down. So with that being said, let's talk about the first half stats here, because I actually found when we did our first show, we predicted where our teams would be. So right now in the American League East, we got the Yankees, Yankees, Tampa Bay, Toronto, Boston, and Baltimore. So I'll go backwards. We all had Baltimore in last. Dirk, Chris had the Blue Jays. I had the Rays, and so did Greg going fourth. Third, Chris had the Rays, and so did Dirk. Me and Greg both had the Yankees in third. In second, Chris had the Yankees. Dirk had the myself, and Greg all 3 of us had the Red Sox. Greg and myself had the Blue Jays. Dirk had the Yankees, and Chris had the Red Sox. So we all knew at the beginning of the year this was going to be a tough division. So,
speaking of the American League East, because you all know Baltimore has been red hot.
Yes, they have.
Their last place playing 500 ball. Best division in baseball.
So they just got done doing what, a 10, 12 game winning streak or something like that?
10 or 12 games. Yeah. And they've got, Baltimore finishing in last place. It's starting to show. They've got good young players, and they're playing good, they're playing 500 ball, They're only 5 games out of second place, but second place is 13 games out of first.
Yeah.
You know, but all the teams are good. Boston got
Yep.
hot and then they cooled off. Toronto, they fired their manager, you know, so they've kind of cooled off. I don't know what's going on with that very talented
No.
team, but they fired the manager. You know, and the Yankees are just cruising. They're playing almost 700 ball. But
Yep.
looking at that division right now, that's the best division in baseball.
That,
All
yeah.
the teams are good, all of them.
Yep.
You
No,
know,
I totally agree.
Mhm.
So in the Central, right now we have the Twins, the Guardians, the White Sox, Detroit, and Kansas City. The way we predicted, let's see, Greg, Dirk, and myself had the Guardians in last. Chris had the Royals.
Mhm.
Chris had the Guardians in fourth. Dirk had, no, I'm sorry. Greg and myself had the Royals fourth. Dirk had the Twins fourth. In third, Chris, Greg, and myself had the Twins. Dirk had the Tigers. In second, Chris had the White Sox. Me and Greg had the Tigers. Dirk had the Royals. And then Chris had the Tigers in first, and the other three of us had the White Sox.
Which
So
goes
kinda-
to show we know nothing.
Yeah,
There you go.
exactly.
Yeah, the White Sox have really had a big drop off since last
They-
year. So.
They have, and you know, and like I said, we all picked Guardians to be towards the bottom, and they're battling second right now. So yeah. So in the West, right now we're looking at Houston, Seattle, Texas, Anaheim, or the Angels, and Oakland. So shockingly, we all had Oakland in the last, which ain't too shocking. Chris and Dirk had Chris and Dirk had the Mariners in fourth. Me and Greg had the Angels in fourth. Chris, Greg, and Dirk had the Rangers in third. I had the Astros because I don't like them.
Well, I don't like them either, but
Yeah, I know. Chris and
I don't
Greg,
like the Yankees either.
Chris and Dirk had the Angels in second. Me and Greg had the Mariners in second. And then Chris, Greg, and Dirk had the Astros in first. I had the Rangers. So, like Dirk said before, we know nothing, but it's always fun to throw out these predictions.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
pretty good on that division.
Yeah, we kind of, I
Not
think,
too
did
bad.
pretty decent in that one. So the NL East, let's see, we got the Mets, the Braves, the Phillies, the Marlins, and the Nationals. So let's see here. Greg and Dirk had the Nationals in fourth. I'm sorry, no, fifth. Myself and Chris had the Marlins, and then it was flip flopped for fourth between those two teams, and then the top three teams were all the same. We had the Phillies in third, we had the Mets in second, and the Braves in first. And again, that's another division we all agreed on was going to be a tough one to chop down to 1, 2, and 3. So in the Central, we got the Brewers, the Cardinals, the Pirates, the Cubs, and the Reds. Again, the bottom two places kind of flip-flopped. Chris and myself had the Reds. Dirk and Greg had the Pirates, and then oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's fifth. In fourth, me and Chris had the Pirates. Greg had the Reds, and then Dirk had the Cubs. Chris had the Cardinals in third. Me and Greg had the Cubs in third. Dirk had the Reds in third. Chris, Greg, and Dirk had the Brewers in second. I had the Cardinals. Chris had the Cubs. Dirk and Greg had the Cardinals. I had the Brewers in first. So another division I think we kind of all did decent on. And then the final division, the West, we got the Dodgers, the Padres, the Giants, the Rockies, and Arizona. And again, let's see. Chris had the Rockies in last. We had the other three of us had Diamondbacks, and we reversed it on fourth. Chris had the Diamondbacks, and we had the Rockies. Third place, Greg and Dirk had the Padres. Me and Chris had the Dodgers. In second, Greg and Dirk had the Giants. Chris had the Padres along with myself. And then in first place, Greg and Dirk had the Dodgers, and I had the Giants, and Chris had the Giants. So, again, another division I think we all can agree on. Again, it was going to be a tough battle there. So
I think we overall for the first 3 teams in each division we were good.
yep.
In the last place teams, and that's always a crapshoot.
Oh yeah.
You remember earlier in the year, like in the National League West, the Rockies were in second place for a
Yep.
bit. They were playing really well, and they do have good players. Arizona has played better than most people think. They're still in last, but they're not awful. Cincinnati's just the worst team in baseball right now. Feel bad for Joey Votto. He's got to finish like that.
Yeah.
Cubs are where they are. That's their own fault. Cubs people I'm reading, they think they're going to re-sign a bunch of former Cubs. They're getting ready to trade Contreras, the catcher. If he goes to the Mets, I'm going to be so freaking happy, because he's an extremely good
Come
catcher.
on, you guys can't get everybody. I mean, Jesus.
Well, we're going to sign Juan Soto, too, and then next year we're going to sign Aaron Judge. Because Uncle Stevie, Steve Cohen, the owner of the Mets, he's now my uncle, Uncle Stevie.
Yeah.
He's the richest owner in baseball, and he's a Mets fan. He's owner's most horrific thing, an owner that's an actual fan, not looking at money. And he has all the money.
All right. So before we get to our Soto topic, what do you guys expect in the second half, being your team or something else? Greg, I'll start with you. What do you expect in the second half here, or what do you want to see?
Well, I'd like to see my Cardinals get a little bit more pop in their lineup. As far as we're getting good production from Arenado, from Goldschmidt. We have a great defensive outfield, but man, it'd be nice if we could land somebody like a Juan Soto or an outfielder with a lot of pop, in the off season or something, because that's the one thing that we're kind of missing. We have a lot of speed guys out in the outfield, some great defensive guys, but they're not lighting it up, consistently with a lot of doubles and home runs and stuff.
I heard Willie McGee's working out pretty hard. He wants to come back.
Yeah. So I'd love to see my Cardinals make a little bit more of a push, because right now they don't have a lot of breathing room. They're right there kind of on the bubble, to make the playoffs if the season ended today. So I'd like to see them pick up a little bit more steam, get a little bit more, get a little bit more pitching help. They may end up having to call up a few guys or something, just to get a little bit more, a little bit more help in the lineup. So, but I think it's going to be a pretty wild race. I think that the American League, I think the Yankees have a pretty good hold on it. I can see the Mariners, making a push to overtake the Astros. They got a outstanding young rookie, Julio Rodriguez. So. Last year the talk of the town for a while was going to be Kelenic over there in Seattle, and he didn't pan out in his rookie campaign. So, Seattle's got another chance, to build up a really good rookie, the best one they've seen probably since Alex Rodriguez. So, Seattle's a team on the rise. So I can see a pretty good heated race between the Astros and Seattle when it's all said and done.
All right.
Then, of course, for Coach D, I think it's going to be a pretty wild race, because the Braves and the Mets, I think that's going to come right down to the last series.
All right.
I actually kind of hope for that. I just want us to stay on top of it. I guess it's my turn now.
Go ahead, D. Go ahead. We'll let you talk about.
I like
we'll let you talk about how your Mets are going to burn this year.
We're almost professional now. Nice segue. Yeah, the Mets. And there's a topic, if we have time, I want to get into it
Yeah.
about fandom,
Okay.
but we can do that next week too. Yeah, people that thought when the Braves got started out and the Mets started out pretty hot and they got a 10-game lead, I didn't think the Braves were going to go away. They're too good.
Yeah.
They lost Freddie Freeman. They picked up Matt Olson. He's the same player, 5 years younger. Home runs, RBIs, maybe not as high a batting average, good defense. And the Braves are good, The Phillies weren't good. I thought they were better, but now they got a new manager and they're on the outside of the pitcher. They could make some noise, I think. I think, that division could have both wild cards too.
Yep.
If the Phillies keep going. And, Mets, Braves, pitching, they both need to, Mets need, if DeGrom comes back and gives us 2.5 months of Jacob DeGrom, oh, God, that would be so helpful, right? You don't know now, but Scherzer's good. Their Mets young pitchers are good. They're just erratic. The hitting is good. There's been some holes. I think with their lineup, J.D. Davis is a proven hitter. Okay, he's kind of the odd man out. He DHs a lot, and sometimes he plays in the field. Eduardo Escobar hasn't been as good as advertised at third base, offensively and surprisingly defensively. Maybe give JD more extra at bats. For some reason, the Mets are infatuated with Dominic Smith. Okay, I think he just balls up the works when he's in the lineup. They always play him. They put him at first and then DHs. That's fine. Give him a day off and stuff. But he's hitting 200. 2 years ago, he hit 300 in the shortened season. He looked great. He was playing in the outfield. Trade bait. He's still young. I would trade him for something of value. I know you could get a trade for him and get J.D. Davis more regular at bats. He knows he's in the lineup 5 out of 6 days. That does an immense confidence booster for a guy who's used to being a regular. The Braves, I think that's going to be the NL East. It's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be great fun. I hope nobody chokes. I hope both teams are red hot, just clawing after it and getting into September, and I'm freaking pulling my hair out, going to bed at night screaming, but waking up the next day to see the next fight, In the Central, real quick, Milwaukee, I like St. Louis. Milwaukee's good, though, but St. Louis is good. Greg, that's going to be a dogfight. Nobody's going to push either of them teams in that division. It's going to be them, and I know they got games against each other. The head-to-head games are going to be big, In the West, LA's cruising right now. Padres are playing pretty good, and the Giants are right behind them. I would like to think the Giants could get their act together and proceed. I kind of think they missed the leadership of Buster Posey. They don't really have a leader on the team. It could be Brandon Crawford, Brandon Belt, somebody like that. But, they got a good manager in Gabe Kapler. But they've stumbled and then played pretty well, played pretty well, but they haven't got red hot yet. The Dodgers, they're good, but they have holes too, So over to the American League, Houston, I think, is a really good team. They're where they should be. Seattle, they got really hot. They're pretty good. They got some good young players, so they're kind of a surprise. Are they going to push the Astros? Maybe. We'll see when they when the winning streak, like 14 games, 15 games.
Yeah, 14
We'll
right
see
now.
when that stops, because sometimes teams do that and then they lose 3 in a row. But Texas is where Texas probably should be, close to 500. They can, if they get some good pitching down the stretch, they got offense and they got defense. Maybe they can make a run at it, but they're where they should be. They're a good, entertaining team, near 500. Okay, they could finish 5 games below or 5 games over. In the Central, Minnesota, much kudos to them. They're hanging in there. The Guardians, a surprise team, are right on there. That'll be a pretty interesting race. The White Sox, Lance Lynn is not pitching like Lance Lynn, and that's a good big reason, why they are where they are. But it's halfway through. They could get hot. They're right there too, and in the East, the Yankees, they're cruising. Tampa Bay, Toronto, Boston, they're going to fight for a wild card if they can get enough wins to get a wild card.
All right.
The Yankees are just cruising. So, the season looks good to me. We're going to have some pennant races. It's going to be fun. I'm anxious.
All right, Chris, how about you? What do you think the second half will bring to your Rangers, and what else would you like to see happen? Or
I just hope a little improvement, from the Rangers. Maybe not giving up as many series as they have in the first half of the year. Just kind of, where are they, third place right now?
yeah,
Just kind of stay there, maybe move up to second, but if you can't, just stay where you're at third, because,
okay.
you're not shooting for the top right now. You're just trying to develop your players.
All right, yeah. For me, it's I hope the Twins make some moves, pitching wise. It's going to be interesting to see what the Yankees do if they stay hot, with their magic number when they're going to clinch, and for the NL, kind of see if the Mets do their typical stumble here. I know this is where we're going to start coming, but you guys got 2 good pitchers coming back, so I do not see that happening. So
the thing is, everybody's comparing the Mets to last year.
Yep, and they're not. You got Buck Showalter there. He's not.
They were 2 games over 500.
Yep.
They're 22 games over 500. Completely different team.
No, you're exactly right. You're exactly right.
Yep.
So let's move on to the last topic quick here. Juan Soto turned down a nice hefty deal. I don't know how he did it, or was he on something when he did it? But anyway,
or why he do it?
Yeah, exactly. Why? So rumors are spreading: Yankees, Dodgers, Mets, Mariners,
Rangers.
Yeah. So Greg, where do you see the saga ending?
Well, I think that fortunately for my Cardinals, I think that we're one of the few teams that can actually make something like this work. We'd have to move a few guys around, but we don't really have to move a whole lot of money. I think that this is something that my Cardinals could take on. I don't really know if he would. I don't know if my Cardinals are going to be lucky enough to sign him. Just because he may be looking for a major market, like New York or Los Angeles, like a lot of players seek out.
Yeah.
They don't really want these Midwest, mid-market type teams, to go to if they can help it. But I don't know. I don't really, at this point, the Yankees team is so good. I don't think they need to make a push. I mean, they just be getting crazy, they'd be ridiculously good if they were able to pick them up. But I think that the Yankees is a team that doesn't have to go get them. They have a really good lineup.
Judge is a free agent. Don't forget that.
That's the thing, is the Yankees get Soto, they're not signing Judge. They're not signing both of them.
No.
Yeah. So
and Stanton still has a huge contract on the books too.
No.
So, so I don't really know. I don't really see the Yankees pulling this off. I just think that they spent too much on Cole, and they'd really like to re-sign Judge to another long-term deal. So, I think the Yankees. I mean, the Dodgers may have already spent. I mean, the Dodgers want to spend every year, but I think that maybe
They've
spent
been
too
doing
much.
that
So.
for a few years. They might be at their limit. Yeah.
So honestly, I think that old crispy bacon might be the winner here because the Rangers seem to be the team that's got all the open. They got the money in the pockets.
I don't think so.
All right, Dirk. What do you got?
Okay, Juan Soto. Okay, the first thing I'm going to say, his agent is Scott Boras, the baseball antichrist. Okay, he wants $500 million for his player.
Yep.
I guarantee you. If you averaged out 15 years at 440, it was like a 27 million a year. I know that's a huge chunk of money. And if he gets injured and can't play anymore at 27 years old, he's got $440 million, right? So the Mets are in it. Yankees are talked about. Mets probably have more room is money-wise. The Yankees, I don't know. The Judge thing is really weird. He signed the arbitration deal, so he signed for the rest of the year, but, he wants huge money. But he's 30, and he has had an injury history a little bit, not as bad as Stanton, and he's healthy this year, and he's absolutely tearing it up, and he's a great outfielder. He can play center field, too. The Mets with Juan Soto, remember, you got to do a trade. He's not a free agent. You got to do a trade, okay? And he still has 2.5 years on his regular contract, but you'll have to renegotiate. I could see the Mets doing it. I'd like it. The Mets have a ton of good prospects. Some people were saying their top 4 prospects, trade him for Soto. No, do not do it. One prospect, and then a bunch of, AA, single A young guys. You don't trade 4 prospects. Remember years ago, Von Hayes, Phillies traded for him and gave 8 players for him. He was a real good player. Not worth the 8 players, though. But here's the surprise fly in the ointment. And it's been talked about more and more. The Rangers. They've spent money for Seager and Simeon, right? They have rich owners. They have money to spend. They got a pretty good outfield. They're trying to get pitching in here, but they could trade one. They won't. I would think they wouldn't trade Garcia, who's a really good outfielder, but he's 30, but he's new. He can play center field. He's great defensively, but maybe some of the younger guys that are pretty good, the 20-year-old that the Nationals could stock in their farm system, and the Rangers have a couple of guys in their farm system. Don't count the Rangers out. Them signing Simeon and Seager this winter was huge for the Texas Rangers. They showed they're willing to go for it, and the owners are willing to go for it. They've got a good GM now. A lot of people hate the co-GM or whatever he is, John Daniels, but he has produced good teams in the past. Chris Young is a young guy. He's smart. He pitched in the major leagues for like 12 years. An original Rangers draft pick. He came up with the Rangers. But I think their Rangers are on the right path. I don't know if I'd put them as the favorite, but I wouldn't count them out. And like Greg said, the Cardinals are in that conversation too. I think the conversation is between the Yankees, the Mets, the Rangers, and the Cardinals. from all I've read and heard. There's some teams that are out there. There's always the team that's going to surprise you for something, But maybe Minnesota offers him $1 billion. He's a good player. Man, he's got 4 years. He played since he was 19. He's a good outfielder. He stays healthy. He's having a down year, but he's on pace to set a career high for doubles and RBIs. So
yeah. I mean,
and I think there's something going on.
250 instead of 300. That's the big
Yeah.
factor.
There's got to be something going on in Washington because that was a pretty tremendous offer, really. I know it was a very long-term offer with the 15 years.
Yeah.
But because who knows what kind of player he would be at 42. He'd still be getting top dollar at 42, but there's something going on in Washington that makes him not even want to even explore that option because they just are coming off the World Series.
Doing like a fire sale thing, or they don't want to deal with Boris.
Yeah.
That could be both.
I think that Washington, they put together a really good team a couple of years ago. They put that World Series together, did what they had to do to get past the Astros. And now
that team should have been World Series team for 2 or 3 years in a row.
Yep.
Yeah,
but
instead it was a one-hit wonder. So
yeah, it's like, why?
Chris, where do you think Soto's going to end up?
I don't know. I always think that it won't be the Rangers because, half the time the Rangers don't do anything really. So I don't really expect it. He could go anywhere. I mean, he's going to get paid a lot of money. He's going to.
They've got an owner and they got a general manager that wants to spend now, though.
Yeah, but it's costing draft picks too. If you think.
It's going to be one of those things. I think the Mets are the favorite. I've heard a lot of talk. The Mariners might be in the mix. If the Twins did it, I'd be all for it. But I don't want to give up too much because we're not going to re-sign them.
Yeah.
But I'd say the Mets and probably the Mariners are my top.
I definitely wouldn't sell the farm for him.
No, not if you're gonna.
You got to make a good trade. A bunch of young prospects. High A, double A guys, but not one of your top. Yes, not multiple top.
If I talk to Boris and him and say, hey, would you sign a long-term deal with Minnesota? Then I would be like, okay, we can give up a little bit for him. But if he's not going to, I wouldn't give up too much. So anyways, guys, so right now, All-Star game still 2-0. Goldschmidt homered. I don't know if you guys saw the highlight there, but he homered. So let's wrap it up here. Coach D, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I'll probably watch a little bit of the All-Star game, and I'm ready for the second half. All the teams get a little break, so some guys that have little nagging injuries and they take a break, they usually go away for a 3-day weekend. So little nagging injuries, sore knee, sore leg, they get helped out. Trade deadline in a week or plus more, that's going to make something. I hope the Mets do good. I'm confident about them. I like the team, so I think it's going to be a dogfight the rest of the way, and I'm going to love it,
All right. Greg, how about you, your final thoughts for this week?
My final thoughts this week is it's just really good to see a lot of people just out and about and enjoying their time in LA for the All-Star break. There's been so much going on in this country this year, especially the last year and a half with gas prices soaring, inflation, a looming recession, all kinds of different things. So it's really nice when people can take a break and, not have to worry about the news, not worry about the doom and gloom, and just go out and enjoy a day at the ballpark, enjoy a nice baseball game. And, yeah, we are going to have some pretty good races in all these divisions. So I'm just looking forward to that. And I'm also looking forward to going back to work in August. I've been kind kind of bored, but I did make it up to a Styx and REO Speedwagon concert a few days ago.
There you go.
There you
Yeah.
go.
They were singing my song "Too Much Time on My Hands" there.
All right, Chris, how about you? Final thoughts for the week?
Yeah, I mean, we're down the home stretch with the baseball season. We're midway through it, and this is kind of where the playoff race starts to heat up. And good luck to all the teams.
All right, and then for me, yeah, I can't wait for the second half. I think this is where the playoffs will start forming really soon, and baseball's always good. So, with that being said, thank you, Chris, Greg, Coach D. This is Big B signing off. Check you next week on Deck. Have a good night.